What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be going over some of the new Saber Combat changes added in the latest update, and more specifically how to win more Saber battles with this new system. Now, I've played for a good 2 or so hours this morning, and straight away I can tell that the Saber Combat is much better than it has ever been. It does reward skill much more than the old system, which almost favoured swing spammers over players who actually knew what they were doing. But this new system really does play a lot smoother than ever, as well as rewarding the skilled player a lot more like I just mentioned. So without wasting any more time, we are going to get stuck right into it, and straight off the bat I am just going to show a few arcade clips to explain some of the changes, and then we are going to get stuck into some proper multiplayer duels, and I'll pretty much just go over what you're seeing on screen and explain both the good and the bad of some of these duels. So the first major change I need to show is the fact that when your stamina depletes, it actually leaves you unable to both attack or block until you can regenerate, and so stamina right now is more important than ever, and it is easily a focal point of this new system. Now, as you can see here, I depleted all of Vader's stamina to get him down to 0, and then I was actually holding block right here while Luke was attacking, and as you can see, Vader was taking full damage. Luke eventually runs out of stamina too, and I was actually still spamming that attack button, but as you can see, he can't attack for a little bit. Then he gets a quick couple of hits in once he does regen, and then obviously it runs out for a second time, leaving him unable to attack. Now, the last thing you're going to notice from this clip is that down on the bottom screen there, Vader's health isn't regenerating, and the reason for that is because I was still holding the block. So keeping an eye on your stamina is an absolute must. Now, if you run out and accidentally keep holding the block, then you're pretty much going to stand there and get absolutely slaughtered, since you can neither attack or defend. Next, I want to show that in a situation where one person is holding the block and the other is swing spamming, the one who's attacking will always deplete their stamina first, regardless who you're playing as or who you're playing against. So never swing spam in a 1v1, and if someone does swing spam in a 1v1 against you, then you pretty much just want to let them do it and then strike when their stamina has been depleted. You'll also notice that there is no longer any stagger when you attack someone who's blocking too, and so this really does help with the fluidity of the new Saber Combat. Now, lastly, before we head into the good stuff, I want to show you that if you land a hit on someone who isn't blocking, you will always land a second hit if you swing again, even if they block as soon as you've landed that first hit. So if you hit someone and then they instantly pull up their block, if you swing straight away, you'll always land that second hit regardless. I don't know if this is a bug or something, but either way it works, and so it is definitely best to try and make the most of it. Now, moving on to the proper gameplay, and another little tip I need to mention is that you can no longer block when you're on the ground, and so it is a very good idea to try and knock enemies down and then quickly land 2 or 3 hits as fast as possible, as there's no longer any way for them to actually avoid it if you do hit them fast enough. Characters like Anakin, Luke, Vader, Kylo, and Dooku all have perfect abilities for this, and so if you use something like the Lightning Stun or Vader's Force Choke, for example, then make sure to try and get in a few quick hits while the enemy is unable to block. Following up to this tip is another one that relates to the same thing, and this is to always try and pick the right moments to attack your enemies, as like I said, once you have hit them once, there's always a chance you're going to hit them a few more times at least. Now, this gameplay is actually all against my good friend the Star Bazaar. For anyone who doesn't know Star Bazaar, I will link his channel down below, so make sure to go and check him out. Now, we randomly got matched up for almost 2 hours straight earlier today when I changed to the Oregon servers, and we had some really insane lightsaber duels, which turned out to be perfect for this video, both for some good and bad gameplay. And so I'm going to kind of dissect some of this gameplay here for you guys to show both where I did well and where I did pretty poorly as well, just to show you guys what not to do in those situations. Now, in this clip here, you'll see me trying to pick my moments to attack rather than just always being on the offensive. So as soon as I saw Star Bazaar using defensive rush, I tried to dodge to the side to get behind him, and then as soon as I saw I was behind him, I quickly made my move to land 3 or 4 quick shots before he could get the chance to block. At this point, I knew I had the upper hand just solely because of the health situation, and so I knew I only needed 1, maybe 2 more hits to finish him off, and so as soon as I saw him move for that all-out push, I quickly dodged to the side, and then I got in that last hit to finish him off. Now, that's a good show of how to pick your moments. However, on the contrary, I also am going to show a clip where I failed miserably at picking my moments, and it ended up costing me a life and costing my team the round as well. So you can see here that I did have the upper hand at the start of this duel when it came to both of our health pools, and the mistake I made was getting too focused on finishing him off rather than actually taking my time to get the win. Because I wanted to try and get the kill since he did have low health, you can see I chose a terrible point to use my duelist ability, which allowed Star Bazaar to get in 1 hit, which like I mentioned at the start always leads to a second hit as well. And then even after I had dodged away, I also stupidly decided to use my exposed weakness ability in almost the exact same way, which as you can see ended up allowing 2 more hits, which did cost me a death. So that's something good to learn from a pretty poor clip. Don't try and rush your kills just because an enemy is low on health, because if you do make even 1 or 2 quick mistakes, it can end up in a death that's almost unavoidable once those mistakes are made. Now, moving on to the next tip, and this one is to try and combine all of your regular attacks, dodges, and abilities together to increase your chances of winning the duel. You need to make the most of all 3 abilities, all of your dodges, and obviously your regular attacks in order to deal damage as fast as possible and to stop your enemies from gaining the upper hand. If you're constantly bombarding someone with attacks and dodges to throw them off, then they're usually going to start to panic, and as soon as panic sets in, then that's usually going to work in your favour. Not only that, but the quicker you deal damage, the more likely you are to win that specific duel, because obviously if you are only dealing 200 damage and then backing off a bit, you're only allowing your enemy to regen their health, and so it's very important to try and quickly take off 300 or 400 health at once, and then once you have broken through their health regen pool, you can back off and regen your stamina, at which point you will have a massive advantage. With all that being said, it's a fine line between attacking quickly and attacking too quickly, because like I said, if you do get too confident or too focused on getting the kill, then that will often lead to a mistake or two, which can very quickly cost you your life. Now, like I mentioned earlier, knockdown abilities are absolutely perfect for this. If you hit someone with Dooku's Lightning, which deals 100 damage, and then getting 2 quick hits, then that is almost an instant 360 damage attack. And then, like I said, you can back off a little and reassess the situation unless you think you can finish them off there and then. Learning which characters are good for getting quick knockdowns is going to be essential with this new system. So far, I've found that Anakin, Vader, and Dooku seem to be some of the best at this, because they can all knock you down off your feet and then quickly get in 2 or more hits, which can be deadly with such high damage output as those characters. Because of this, it is definitely a good idea to test out a few characters either in arcade or multiplayer and just see how you think they suit your playstyle, because I've already found that there are a few who can be really dominant, such as the characters that I've just mentioned. Now, speaking of learning different characters, another useful tip is to try and play it slow at the start of a duel in order to learn the playstyle of your enemy. Some players will come out guns blazing and swing spam like crazy, some will have more of a defensive style, and some will be right in the middle, which honestly is where you should always be if you do want to do well consistently. Try and play a little bit defensively at the start of each game, see how your enemies are going to go about fighting you, and then assess the situation once you do have them figured out. If you play too aggressively at the start of a game, you're never going to know how your enemy plays, which is definitely not what you want. Now, as for the very last tip I'm going to give you guys, I have already touched on this a little bit, but you need to make the most of your dodges in order to do well. Regardless of whether you have full stamina or no stamina, all your abilities available or none available, dodging is always the most useful way to both defend yourself and set yourself up to be able to attack. Without dodging, it's almost impossible to do well against someone who knows how to play, so learning when and how to use your dodges is something that is a must if you do want to become elite at your Saber Combat. If you're getting bombarded with attacks, dodge away and then use your block to get back into a proper defense. If your enemies are block spamming and you need to open up some angles to attack them, then dodge through or behind your enemies and quickly spin and land a strike while their back is open. Dodging is probably the most important part of Saber Combat when it comes to the top level players. You'll never see a great player standing around and not dodging when they're in a duel. So make sure to practice when it comes to your dodge timing and dodge movement, and you'll instantly see a massive change in your Saber Battle gameplay. So that is going to do it for this video, guys. It's fair to say I am really enjoying the new Saber Combat. It's still far from perfect, but it's much better than it has ever been, and I definitely hope some of these tips can help you guys improve. If you did enjoy the video, guys, make sure to leave a like down below to help support the channel. I'm actually planning on doing a version of this for Sabers vs Blasters, as well as Blasters vs Sabers too, so if that does sound interesting to you guys, then definitely let me know down in the comments. If you are new to the channel, then feel free to subscribe and turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on any more Battlefront 2 videos or live streams. Thank you all so much for watching. You guys have a great day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.